several of those throughout the country. So there. Now that's why I was a little bit off to a choppy start. I was waiting for that recording. Just kidding, actually. So, but today our training is going to focus on how you leverage that certification. Now, we want to equip you with the tools for success. And it's so great that Tiffany is joining us today because, again, between the two of us, the amount of success and the amount of knowledge, so to speak, things that we've done the wrong way, things that we would have done differently, we're going to be able to share a lot of that with you. But we've got a very informational packed agenda to cover. So a lot of information to go over. And just to let you know, we're really going to talk about the value proposition behind being certified. We're going to talk about the role of the supplier diversity professional that you're going to be interacting with throughout these companies that you want to do business with. And then we're going to give you 7 actionable steps to actually maximize your certification. So our goal before you leave this webinar is that you really have a plan of action, that maybe you have it all just up in your head, but then you can start to take this information and make that action plan written out so that you can really utilize that certification. So as we go ahead and get started here, understanding, the value proposition. So again, the important thing to know is that there was an actual federal mandate. And when you want to think about this in terms of the program that happened is that the largest consumer of just about everything in the United States is the federal government. I mean, they purchase for, think of all of the naval bases and Army, all of the military bases, right? They all have commissaries, they all have stores. So they have to have, everything from cereal there to coffee. So anybody that makes anything wants to do business with the federal government. The federal government buys tons of vehicles, right? So if you're a manufacturer of cars, you want to do business. So what they did is they made a federal mandate that stated that anybody that wants to do business with the federal government needs to have a certain percentage of minority-owned companies and a certain percentage of women-owned companies that are in their supplier base. So they did that in the beginning because they wanted to help promote the growth of minority and women-owned businesses. And it was a huge initiative that they undertook, and it became a very successful program. And what they found is that not only did that help the minority businesses grow and the women-owned businesses grow, but it was also good for the federal government and good for the organizations such as the Fortune 50, Fortune 100, Fortune 5,000 companies, because what they found is some of their biggest innovation came from the minority and women-owned companies. Some of the best services being provided came from those companies. So it then became just a great business decision to open up their supplier base and make sure that they were all inclusive. So that really, that business model really evolved. And so as we're going through this, and Sherry, did I just do your part that you were supposed to do?
Okay. This is the whole thing is ours. So listen, I'm always happy when you can add your wisdom.
Right. So with that being said, I'm going to let Sherry fill in the gaps there of the things that I missed about the federal mandate, because I'm sure that she can be a little more specific. So
no, I think you said it all. The federal government is the largest customer in the United States, and the federal mandate was created to level the playing field for women and minorities. In the beginning, it was just minorities because women were considered a minority, and no longer is that the case. So really, when they split it, that they didn't split the percentage. So we actually got an extra 5% because 5% of all business goes to women and 5% to minorities. And so we've got an extra amount of help there. And so what came from all of that is this. The companies that do business with the federal government were required to have that. So what does that mean? That means the automotive companies, the banks, anyone who does business with the federal government has to have 5% of their business from women and 5% from minorities as well. So that created a new position called a supplier diversity professional. So I'm going to let you tell us more about what the supplier diversity professional does, and the supplier, and actually it's a whole department in general and some of the larger corporations. But a supplier diversity professional is our ombudsman or friend. Can you tell us more about that, Denise?
Thank you so much, Sherry. And I will just add that I think that first, where the value prop and where this all came from, that it is very important, because I know a lot of people think, oh, if you do business with a minority or a woman-owned company, you get a tax deduction or you get this tax rebate, or, so there's a lot of, kind of false information that kind of flies around. But, if you understand the value proposition and really what's behind that. So again, you want to do business with the federal government. And then what that did is it created in these organizations like Toyota and General Motors and Capital One and, Allstate Insurance, they then produced their own programs, right? Their own supplier diversity programs. And to head those up, they put in a supplier diversity professional. And as Sherry mentioned, this person is really the person that is our connection to that business. Okay. So they are our ally. They're our person that will help us understand what contracts are coming up, what RFPs are coming up, and RFP is request for proposal. So they will help us, guide us through the internal workings of an organization, because any company that you want to do business with of a certain size is going to have a certain type of purchasing flow that they follow, right? So in some organizations, they have a purchasing or a procurement department. In some organizations, the business itself, if it's a factory, they do the purchasing, or, it's the actual business that does the purchasing. But every organization is unique, and your supplier diversity professional is the person who can help you understand how that purchasing happens within that organization. What do you need to do? How do you need to get yourself, in the right shape so that that company can do business with you? So they're really a huge support and a great asset for you to have when you're going into to try to do business with these companies. Now, one of the things that you'll find out is that they will always start by saying, please make sure you're registered in our portal. So if that organization has a portal, they will ask you to register in that portal. Now, some people will say it doesn't matter. It's a waste of time. Not true. Not true. You absolutely need to follow their advice, and you need to even proactively, if you know you want to go after a certain company, you proactively go online and find out if they have a supplier diversity portal. And if they do, you can then reach out and say, hey, I'd like to register for your portal. Do you have any advice? Or you can sometimes, navigate your way through it and get registered, in that portal yourself. But the point there is, do not skip that step. When you're meeting somebody, we've got a great conference that's coming up in September, the Great Lakes Women's Business Conference, and you're going to meet a lot of professionals there, and they will say, are you registered in our portal? And, if you're not, then that's no problem, but just let them know that, yeah, you'll do that first of all, or you can say, I am already registered. So very, very good, because when they're buyers within their large organizations, they are often required to include a women-owned and a minority-owned company in every bid. And so they'll go to that portal and they'll look to see who's there. So very important that you do that registering. That supplier diversity professional is going to talk about those current opportunities. And I'm going to just share one quick little story with you. And it is about how we have the opportunity to do business with Stellantis, which is now, of course, Chrysler and Fiat, et cetera, et cetera. So huge organization. And it was because one of the supplier diversity professionals that I've known for 10 years walked me up to the buyer for my commodity at Stellantis and introduced me and said, you need to talk to her. she has done such great work for our company. You need to talk to her. Her company does blah, 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 blah. And literally, because of that introduction, I was able to get a meeting scheduled and we're well on our way. I mean, we haven't closed the business yet, but we're well on our way. So the reason I share this with you is that this is a small community. There's only 2,000 of these supplier diversity professionals nationwide, and they almost all know each other or are connected in some way, shape, or form. So please remember that when you're talking to one of the supplier diversity professionals that maybe hasn't answered your email or maybe has put you off, you might have a tendency to want to, be a little bit short or whatnot, but don't do it. Don't burn any bridges because they all know each other. They're connected to each other, and you want to just be sure that you stay super professional. So again, they are not the person that can sign your contract. In 90% of the cases, once in a while, in a smaller company, it might be a purchasing person, might be the supplier diversity professional, but in most cases, they are not the one that can sign your contract. So they are the one that will help you bridge, build that bridge to the right place. They'll help you, do all the things that we talked about, but they are not the person that's going to sign your contract. So, don't expect them to get you that business, but they'll do everything they can to get you the right introductions and get you them to help you with the meetings. So I always feel compelled to say, are there any questions? But we always wait and do that at the end. So
I do have something I'd like to say, and I don't know why it just struck me, but I just want to add that you've asked everyone to sign onto these portals, and that includes the federal government's portal. That's where they're going. And it's interesting to me that even though we attend Toolkit and we attend some of these other educational events and events to help us, we don't always do what's advised, but we expect, even though we didn't make an investment in that company by doing our homework and researching them and getting on their portal, we expect something from them. How can you expect them to be engaged with you if you are not engaged with them? And I also want to just reiterate what Denise said. The relationship building is key. You want that person, you want it to realize that person that's a supplier diversity professional, they're there to represent you. So they represent their company, but they're also out there specifically to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks very much, Sherry. And as we're moving on through this, and we want to, to really now, look at, these 7 steps, right? This is where we start to do our homework and we start to really put to use, what can we help you do to utilize and maximize that certification. First of all, it's making an announcement. It's, we're going to talk about that. It's, step 2 is promoting that you are a WBE. Step 3 is that brand identity and certification, prospecting in the national business enterprise network. Okay, that's the national community, engaging with other WBEs, because there's a huge amount of WBEs, 14,000, that if your product or service is a fit for small to medium sized to large enterprises, there's all those kinds of opportunities within our own WBE network, right? And then participate with the Great Lakes Women's Business Council, participate in your RPO. This is going to be something that Tiffany's going to share some stories about. And, and again, we can give you real live examples of what a difference it makes to reach out of your comfort zone and participate. And then do your homework is step 7. So let's get started. The very first thing that we want to do is make an announcement. You want to get a press release out there, whether you're, newly certified or your certification has been renewed. That's press release worthy as well. You can set that up. You can get a quote from Michelle Richards. She 100% is the biggest supporter that you could ever want. She is the CEO of the Great Lakes Women's Business Council, a fantastic woman, and will really do whatever she possibly can to help you succeed. And I can say that because I know sincerely that she believes in that mission. So she'll provide a quote for you that's very customized to your business that you can use in that press release. And, the things that's great is that there's a link that you can get sample press releases. So you don't have to spend money with a marketing person to write your press release. You don't have to spend a bunch of your own time. I mean, there's templates that we can provide for you that will help you with that press release. And where do you put them? You can put them on your website, of course. You can put it on LinkedIn. You can do a blog with it. You can make sure that your Chamber of Commerce has it. You can look at your local newspapers have business sections in it. Your industry publications, those are all the places where those press releases can go. Any association that you belong to, you want to get that press release out to them, so that they're aware of it. And of course, then, and I'm not a social media guru, but there's tons of them out there, right? And that they can help you really get that word expressed. Now, the one example that Sherry and I love to use is that, here's your, great certificate. You went through all this time, this money, this effort to get this certificate. It's just like having a fishing license. If you take that fishing license and you hang it on your wall, how many fish do you think you're going to catch? Not that many, right? I mean, you got that license. So now you can legally go out there and fish, but you got to throw that line in the water. You got to set that hook. You got to do all the effort and all the work. And that's the same thing here. You want to make sure that the very first thing you do is promote that certificate. That means getting the word out to your existing customers. Anybody that you've done business with in the past, you want to make sure they know about that you're certified, because they may actually reach out to you to do more business with you, because that helps their spend. You want to make sure your local press is aware of it, and of course that it's on your website. You also want to make sure in your email signatures that it's there. Okay, so these are all ways that you can promote that you're a WBE, that you're a woman-owned enterprise, certified woman-owned company. Okay.
And Denise, I'd like to chime in on
Yes.
that. That's happened to me many times. They'll see my email and say, "Oh, you're women certified? Oh yeah. Well, now we can do more." And my number one company that I do business with right now, that's exactly how it happened. So they're using us on a lot of projects just because of an email with my certification.
Excellent. And again, a lot of times, that word assume, we assume our clients know this, our customers know this. They don't know, right? So it's up to us to promote that. So thank you, Tiffany, for mentioning that. And again, we want to make sure, don't forget that you put it on your website, and as I mentioned, even if you've been certified for a year, no harm in announcing it again, that, hey, we just got recertified and we've done this as our commitment to supplier diversity. We've done this as our commitment to our clients, etc. So, there's nothing wrong with self-promotion, of course. So, so that's step 2. So very, very important that you need to promote. Now, step 3 is all about the brand identity and the certification. So, and this, Sherry, I want to hand over to you to do.
Okay.
So, all right.
And you all hear me well, is that correct? Okay, good. So I want to just add a little something to what you all were just talking about, where you put that seal on everything. And you can see a picture of the logo, also called the seal, and it's the one on top that we're discussing right now. Start with the basics. I can't tell. I even got an email this morning from a WBE who has an email, and it's hard to decipher her business, but her business name is in there. But we have 1,400 plus WBEs, and the Michigan Women's Marketplace, which is part of the Women's Business Center, we've got about that many members. Plus, we take calls from the public. So that's over 3,000 people. I guarantee you that I don't remember every single one every single time. I need a little bit of a tickler. And the best tickler you can give me to show me that you're professional, or a corporate, or another WBE, or anyone that you're emailing, is your name, your title, your company name, your street address, your phone number, the way to reach you. If you can't be reached by an office number and you want them to reach you, put your cell number in there, and your logo, and this certified WeBank Women's Business Enterprise, because I can't reply and can't, in this instance, I couldn't even resolve the issue because I didn't know who I was talking to. So do those basic things first, as well as adding it to anywhere you put your company name, which you should be putting everywhere. You add this logo because you earned it. And as Tiffany said, you never know when your organic moment is going to come, and someone's going to see that logo in some of your in your email or some of your marketing material. So which logo should you use? Everyone that has a certification uses the certified WeBank Women's Business Enterprise logo that you see on top here. Again, it is called the seal. Where can you find it? In that package that Denise was talking about, and that is in the WeBank link that you registered to get your certification through. And you will also find the press release in that toolbox of marketing materials. Now, if you have a product in the retail space, you're going to use that women-owned logo as well. That women-owned logo goes specifically on retail items. It's very nifty. It's great to find it. The federal government knows that 80%, and so did Walmart, by the way, they are instrumental in getting that women-owned logo on product, because they know that 80% of women are doing the buying, and the other 20% is influenced by women. We have more influence than we sometimes think we do. So bottom line is, we buy from women. Women buy from women. Walmart worked with WeBank, which is the national council, to get this women-owned logo created, and they use it. I was in Walmart one day at the beginning of the pandemic. I said, "Hey, there's nobody here. Let's run over and grab groceries." And in the passing, I passed the grandbaby aisle, which is clothing. So I grabbed some little clothing items I thought were cute, and on the label was that women-owned logo. And I also like to share the story of we travel with others when we cruise, and we share gifts when we get with these other couples. And my boyfriend I had only been working for 2 months with Great Lakes Women's Business Council. And, he's really all concerned about cars. He can tell you about any car, anything that passes by, he can remember it. But anything else, not really important to him, right? We're on the ship. After they leave, he turns his gift over and he sees what? The women-owned logo, and points it out to me. That is how recognizable it is. So be sure that you're using that on your printed identity and your virtual identity and anywhere that you are putting your name. And here are a few examples. You can see here, there's some vegetables, some popsicles, and there the logo is that women-owned logo is on there. But you can see here is a full signature on someone's email. That is whether you are receiving the email and responding, or whether you're initiating the email. Your signature needs to show up looking like that. If you'll excuse me, I'm just going to let someone in here. The more the merrier. And then on your website here, in this particular website, I'm glad it's here because I can point this out to you. If you get the WOSB certification, which we'll talk about later, I think, which is the Small Business Administration or federal government women-owned logo. That is an old logo. Do not use that logo. You just strictly put SBA and the letters WOSB if you have that. Now you see over here, we've also included it on a business card. So it's really important for you to take advantage of your newfound certification and let folks know. I do know instances where some of our larger members, the corporates that you think of, will maybe interested in your product. If you get that far without having the certification, they may say to you, "We really are interested in your product. Would you please get certification?" Because if you don't have certification, they want you to have it. That's important to them because they support you as WBEs. So that's good news. Now, we're in my wheelhouse, and we're going to talk about something that I really enjoy. If you do not have a capability statement, you need one. Another name for a capability statement is one sheet. Now, if you're a speaker, one sheet is what that's called in your industry, but we call it a capability statement. A speaker one sheet will look a little different. I do have a template for that if anybody's interested in that. But here we have Samuel Services. Now, Samuel Services has business summary, which we call an overview. It lists the capabilities, which we call core competencies, expertise, which would be a maybe compared to a differentiator, maybe not. We'd have to take a closer look. And customers, which we call past performance. And there's a few, there's the company data on the left side there. Contact information on the upper left, very small, is the title of the document, which is capability statement. Now, pretty much everything is here. This is a capability statement. I'm a buyer and I'm sitting at a conference and I've got and there's 3,000 people. I've probably got 500 capability statements that I've already collected. And I flew in. 500 sheets is a ream of paper and it weighs a lot. Do you think I'm going to take all 500 of those? Or do you think I'm going to be polite, take a quick look and put that in a pile that's not going home with me? Let's see what happens when we take a little time. Now, I'm a buyer and someone hands me this. Now I'm a little more interested. I can see from both of these, which by the way, neither one is perfect. And I actually did them both, but I've learned a lot. As you learn, you change and grow. But there's a lot of great things on here and they both capture our interest. So I'm going to make sure that I'm sharing everything I want to with you here. You can see the title very well. You can see that they have a very clear logo. Make sure your logo is high resolution. And the title is capability statement. So make sure those two things are at the top or are highly visible in your document. You want your document to be easy to read for the buyer. That's number one. And then you want to provide the buyer things in topic form so they can easily see it. Do you want to come up with your own crazy topics? I think you might want to stick to what they're looking for because, again, they're looking for specific things. Can you get a little creative ever so slightly, but they need to know exactly what it means when you change the title of one of the headers here. So again, we looked at your logo, the title, your specific contact information. On both of these, I put that in a very small text at the very bottom. On the one on Compass Commercial, it could be a little bigger. I like the size of the one on Mrs. Pruitt's Gourmet Cha-Cha. And you'll see it's at the bottom because it is not the primary information. If they want to contact you, they will look on your sheet for the contact information. You need to make them want to contact you. So what are you going to do that? Well, you'll notice that each of the logos has color. We added color within this document. We used the colors that are in the logo because it's pleasing to the eye. Some of these things that you're going to do, they're not anything that says something to the buyer that they know of, but it subconsciously, they are reacting to it, and that would be the color. So each of them has a purpose. Mrs. Pruitt's Gourmet Cha-Cha, that looks delicious. Just looking at the colors, it makes me feel very good about that and that it's going to be something fun and interesting. Compass Commercial, I want somebody fairly serious about what they're doing when they're looking for property for me or helping us to get better pricing on a lease. So the colors are appropriate and the colors in the document are appropriate. And then you can add a little interest by adding some pictures. You do not have to add your own picture, but I thought this picture of Lynn Drake was amazing. Up against a way to add a little pop of color was Lynn had on a red. She has two headshots, by the way. One has a darker suit and the other is red. So on this document, that little pop of red was appropriate and was good. And she works with property. So you see the buildings there and she does it all over the world. So you see the world there. So the buyer has kind of an idea before they even get in there and they understand she's dealing with commercial real estate. So Mrs. Pruitt's Cha-Cha, we have pictures of the different types of her Cha-Cha product there, and it's just colorful and yummy, and I want to look more into that. Now, the basic pieces are the company overview. That's brief, and write it in third person. Don't say, you can, but I think it sounds more professional. If it sounds like someone else is writing it about you, it might be a little more, sound a little more professional. I don't know. It's not unprofessional to use first person, but you have enough opportunities to do that later. So it's just a real brief, when you formed, who formed it, where you operate, who you provide services for, and what are the services or product that you offer. And in this one, because there's no other place to put that on a capability statement, we did throw in that Lynn had 1,400 transactions at total value of $200 million, which you wouldn't necessarily put anywhere else. Core competencies, that is what you do. That's it. Maybe all you do is make widgets. Then all you have is one core competency, and that's okay because that's what you do. Don't embellish just to make you feel like you have to be something else. Maybe the automotive manufacturer is looking for someone that makes your widget, and you have solved their problem. So just put who you are or just what you do there. Differentiators, they are the one that holds people up the most. I had someone, by the way, what you're doing with differentiators is what makes me want to buy your product instead of somebody else's. I'm going to share a few things from Mrs. Pruitt's Cha-Cha because, again, I said I made it, so it's my issue here that I wasn't feeling like I could really cross the line. I was trying to be respectful of what she had put in there, but the truth is, I'm taking out some of the things. So core competency is not actively listening to customer needs. That is not a core competency, nor is it a differentiator. How many other companies say they do that? All of us. But her differentiator says it's high in vitamin A and C and low in sodium. Oh, low in sodium, that's really a differentiator, as well as the A and C. She gives us the ounces down in differentiators, the sizes. Well, that really needs to go up into core competencies. And her brand reflects Detroit to Motor City. That's different. And it's probiotic and it's healthy, and that's different. And up in core competencies, that's authentic cuisine with deeply rooted regional Southern tradition and an 1830s family recipe. That's really a differentiator. If you have trouble with that, I'm here to help you with your capability statement, but that'll be the one that holds you up. There is on the Michigan Women's Marketplace a webinar from April of 2021 about showing your pink umbrella in a sea of black umbrellas, and it's talking about differentiator. If you don't have one, you can create one. And the example that I'll give you there is Burger King. In the 1970s, they were number 2 to McDonald's. At the time, McDonald's ran an assembly line process to make burgers. If you came in and wanted no onions, everybody's unhappy because we want to service you, make it quick. We can't because you ordered a special order. We're in an assembly line process. We've already got 20 buns back there decorated, and they all have onions on them. And so now you're going to have to wait 20 minutes when I was supposed to get you in and out in 60 seconds. And Burger King saw that there was a neat customer pain that was not being met in the industry. And so therefore they created a way to get you in and out quickly, fast food, by creating a way to get you no onions or no ketchup or whatever it is that made your burger the way you wanted it. So you can create a differentiator. I had someone I was helping the other day say, well, we're just a cleaning service. We don't have we're just a cleaning service like any other. I said, you mentioned to me that you have a 5-step process. Oh, that is her differentiator. So you can work with that, but make sure that it's not something that's just, for instance, Lynn has negotiated an average client savings 23%. Things like that are great if you can add numbers to them. Now, past performance, that is simply what you do. Who you do it for. So that would be customers. Now, in Mrs. Pruitt's case, she felt like she didn't have any. So we added, she did food shows, but she did some high-end food shows, and we listed those here. I will say to you that looking here, she did have a retail presence. So she lists those all together, but they could have each been listed separately. Whole Foods, that's past performance right there. And then we discovered that she had, which is now Stellantis, She worked their headquarters in Auburn Hills. She provided to them. So those are things. Let me make sure I've got everything. Your company data, again, your NAICS codes, DUNS numbers, they can all be put together. That's all that goes in there. Please do not list associations. Do not list awards. This document is like a pitch on paper. It's strictly there to help you get the next meeting or another conversation. You can't tell, you're very excited about everything you do. You can't tell them everything you do. Burger King sells ice cream, breakfast, milkshakes, French fries, but their core competency is hamburgers, and that's what they're trying to sell, okay? So just remember that, because you get all excited about everything you have, and I understand that, but that's for a second conversation. Now, Denise has been kind enough to share her capability statement. She has since revised it. This is gorgeous. And I'm not gonna, I mean, this is gorgeous, but, and Denise, you're gonna be surprised to hear me say that I am going to modify what I've always said about it being a one sheet only. My preference is one side of one sheet. The reason is, number one, all the important things are right there for the buyer to see right away. Remember that conference with 3,000 people and 600 capability statements? You think they're going to turn it over? If they do, it's going to be a quick like back, and they don't have time, and you want to be in that pile that goes home. So if you've got everything important on one sheet, that really works out well. And Denise, whoops, I'm sorry about that. A little ling on the keyboard. Denise has, what I want to use here is Denise has such a nice capability statement. You see her logo, you see capability statement. You can add a tagline. I like the tagline she uses here, a certified WBE company. She lists her capabilities. Another thing that I really like is when you're listing past performance, she calls it some companies we represent. Get permission to use their logos if you can, but do it this way, either all text or all logos. You don't have to list every company. Logos, you're breaking up the text. And so again, making it easier for the buyer to read. And it looks a little impressive. I see right away, I see Amway and Lear and Kohler and Hobart. I'm seeing Cummins. I see all of those things immediately without having to read text that looks like other text. Now, if you can only do text, that's okay. But just remember, you don't have to put everything. I can see that she has all the things that she needs here. Now, on the right, she has a case study. And one of the things that my preference is that you can make a spec sheet, or in this case, a case study, auxiliary documents that you can provide when you get that next conversation or when asked. Denise, would you share with us some information some thoughts that you have about this capability statement?
Sure. One of the things, and it's so accurate. I mean, the progression that you have as your business it grows, and as you do things, this was done professionally for us. And again, we like the way that it looks. It's laid out nicely, but we were very much trying to say everything we possibly could say, and really make it plain and clear, but at the same time add everything in here. And really what we found is that it works great to have the capability statement like Sherry's talking about, the one pager, and then utilize the business case as a second, a follow-up type of piece, to send. So and the other thing that we've done, and somebody asked if we could make this larger, and I have no problem in sending this out to everybody that attended and whatnot. Well, and you already have it on, Sherry already sent this out, but one of the things that you'll notice is that on mine, I put down on this one, the global headquarters and the way to contact us, but it doesn't have a specific name on it. So that was one thing. And I actually had besides Sherry, who again, she is the expert and she will help you develop yours. but she had mentioned that as well. And so did this supplier diversity professional that, hey, Denise, how come your name's not on here? I want to contact you, So I'm there talking to him and whatnot. And I'm like, we got all the information for the company here. And he's like, but where's your information? So again, like Sherry said, be sure that that you have, your name on it. When my salespeople go out, it'll still, my name will be there, but then so will theirs, so that, that it is branded with their name on it too. So, and really, our new capability statement, I'm going to send it over to you, Sherry, so that, you can look at it, but I still think it needs some work because every time I hear you, I pick up one more thing that we should do a little bit differently, right? So, but I will tell you the importance of having a good capability statement. It's the first thing people will ask you for, well, send me your capability statement. So you want to make sure it's emailable. You want to make sure that they can print it out. Some people like that old school, they want to print it. So make sure it prints nicely, make sure it's not like such a dark background that it's harder to print, those types of things. And be sure that that it's emailable and downloadable. You can put it right on your website and then people can download it. Or, if you're doing a virtual conference, you can have it on in your virtual booth and then they can download it. So that's really all I can add about the capability statement, because you did a super job.
And thank you. So thank you for bringing up that it needs to be your name on the capability statement. If you want to add a salesperson below your name with their phone number, that's okay, but make sure that they know that you're invested, you are engaged in getting their business as well. And sending it over, once you get your capability statement created and you get it just the way you want, and you have checked and double checked and triple checked for mistakes and wording, and by the way, set it down and come back in a few days, put it in PDF format, and almost everybody can do that. From wherever you're at, you can go file, save as, and choose PDF. And that is how you are going to want to send it over, because if you don't, things will move around on your page and they won't see it the way you want them to, and the impression won't be good. Do you have anything that you might want to add, Tiffany, to capability statements and how valuable they've been to you?
I have several markets that I am in different industries, and I have different capability statements for each of my industries. As you grow, you expand. I always started off with one in the beginning and had that one for probably, 8 years. And then as we expanded our business, I had to, the buyers would say, at these meetings, what can you do for me? What makes you different with the differentiators? So I had to create like 5 different capability statements for each industry. So yes, they're very powerful. Yes.
Thank you, Tiffany. That's important. Thank you for bringing that up. Have a base capability statement about your company and carry that even if you're bringing the other one, because that's what you need to provide is your company capability statement. But like Tiffany said, if you're meeting with someone that has a specific product they're looking at, you can use a spec sheet, but you could also make a capability statement, tweak it to that specific meeting so that you're answering the questions that they're asking, like, do you have the core competency to do what we need you to do for this project? So that's very good information. Thank you, Tiffany. Now, I think I've already sent you the one on the left. It's a template. It's got a little bit of instruction on it to help you. I know that many of our WBEs use something called Canva. I have not become Canva savvy yet. I use Publisher in the Microsoft Office suite, and that's what I use. And so when I help you, I have to turn it into a PDF, and then I turn it from there into a Word document. It's not necessarily a really editable Word document, but somewhat. And again, so you want to send off what you're sending in a PDF. If you'll see on the right here, that's more like a one sheet that is that a speaker would have. And in that case, in this case, she is a coach. And so since she offers services, outside of the speaking, we still looks like a capability statement. If you're a speaker, it would probably look more like your name instead of your logo, and the speaker instead of capability statement. But this was created just to help out those who had a service where they were consulting or something. So I have both of those I can send back out to all of you. So I think now we're going to talk a little bit about WeBank Link, Denise, and will you share that with us?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks, Sherry. Excellent information on the capability statement. So on the Women Business Enterprise National Council, this is where you probably all are familiar with this if you've had to be recertified, because this is where you go to use the link to connect to fill in information. There's messages that come through there. So it's important to have this set up so that you can always go in there. But the other thing is that you now have access to this supplier diversity community, and there are, out of the Fortune 500 in the United States, the top 500 companies, there's 300 of them that are on this, that are suppliers, are the corporates, we call them, for the Women's Business Council. So 300 of those major corporations that you can find access to in this portal. When you go there to review, you look under members. So that's how you distinguish that, that they, the difference between a WBE, which is us, and a corporate, which is a member. So, you're going to go in here and then go under the corporate and government members and click here. You can see, well, since I'm not presenting, I'm using my mouse to highlight, but of course you're not seeing that. But you'll notice that it's, on the right, it's the second green box there under WBE. So if you wanted to see WBEs, you would click there. And if you wanted to see all the corporate, the members, you would click there. So as you research this list, you can visit the websites, you can get registered in their portals. I mean, this is a great asset to be able to, quickly go in here and see who feels strongly about the supply. And when you go on their websites, what you're going to be able to see is that if they have a supplier diversity program, you can see who endorses it. Is it the CEO? Is it the, CIO? I mean, who is it that really is behind that program? Because that will help you when you're prospecting with that company. This will show you, like what a serious commitment that they're making. Now, again, after you're searching for the corporate members, you've got the portal access. This is, again, instead of having to just go out and coldly try to find them, you can go right here and it gives you that one little step up. The other thing that you can do with this portal is you can see all of the WBEs across the United States. So again, if you have a business that supports the, B2B, that does services for, again, small to medium to large businesses, you've got 15,000 prospects right here in front of you that are in that WBE community. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. You'll also find events on this website, the national events that, that you can go to. So it's going to allow you to, again, do your research, get to the portals, do the supplier diversity program, and then it'll also help you to participate, like once you know what's going on, to participate in these supplier events. So let me give you an example. Right now, there is this month the month of September, Stellantis is doing a big matchmaker event. Now this year they've chosen to do it virtually again, but that is an event that you can participate in. General Motors, Ford, Toyota, they all have Lear, they all have their own supplier diversity event that in addition to the different matchmakers that the Great Lakes Women's Business Council is doing, these big, huge corporate members, they will invite all of their suppliers. So imagine how many suppliers does Stellantis have? They invite them all to come to this conference virtually and set up a booth, because they know that these suppliers, in order to do business with Stellantis, they need to have a percentage of minority and business owned companies, right? So they will have their own supplier event. And again, the more that you can participate in these things, the more that you can become versed in, you can get even better at practicing your presentation, practicing your pitch, so to speak, and making all kinds of connections. And when you think of how much time it takes for you to prospect, to put together a mailing list, to buy an email list, to cold call, to do all of those steps that it takes to get in front of the right people within a company, it is expensive and exhausting. And these events, allow you to do that kind of prospecting that would take a year to do, you can do in 2 hours. So they're very, very valuable. So again, looking into, the search function, and, this is where, when you go in here, it's set up that you can, again, see, the news that's going on. You can, go through the messages. There is, for us, we'll use this, prior to going to a big event, to do some research on again, those corporates. This always will let you know your active status. And Sherry, what else do we want to point out here?
Well, right under Certification Center, you see the WeBank brand guidelines and logos. There's a click, you can click to get the guide.
Yes.
And that's going to have your press release and your logos in there.
So that's exactly what I wanted to say. So thank you, Sherry, for that. All right. Now, again, the next thing that we want to talk about is step 5, right? Which is engaging with WBEs. And, one of the things that you're going to find being a part of this community is that every single successful WBE is willing to sit down and have a conversation with you. They're willing to tell you some of the pitfalls that they ran into. I mean, it is just a wonderful, very open community where we celebrate each other's successes. We're there. I mean, some of the best, friendships and long-term business relationships that I've made over these last 37 some years have been, in the last 10 years, being a certified woman-owned business person. So in getting engaged with fellow WBEs, it's not only about, can you do business? It's not always about getting a purchase agreement. It's sometimes about having someone that has been through what you're going through, or someone that has overcome hurdles, someone that can just listen to you vent. So there's a lot of value in that camaraderie that you can build. But the one thing that I will say is that just like everything else, in my personal opinion in life, is that if you don't put time and effort into it, it isn't going to just miraculously happen for you. Now it could, I mean, again, that could happen, but in my experience, the harder that I've worked, the more successful I've gotten. And the way that happens is by taking advantage of things that are there. So if, having the opportunity to be a mentor in the Technology Mentor program was a fantastic experience for me. Come to find out, it was sponsored by Ford, and that has now led to this great introduction. Now, whether or not we'll ever, get that account and do business with Ford, that remains to be seen. But more so, I've been able to watch these journeys that some of these women have taken, and have walked with them while they've made their first major sale. And I mean, it's just, it's so rewarding. So again, it's taking that time to be involved. And Tiffany, would you like to add,
Yeah, I'd love to chime in on this one.
Yeah.
I did a construction cohort, We Mentor program, and to this day, I got two really good friends, and we go out to dinner all the time. And they were actually my mentors. We go out to dinner, brainstorm. We created relationships. I've gone to one's house. I mean, we become so tight knit, and not only my mentors, but my fellow WBEs. You know, we were being mentored, and now I got two of them. We hang out too all the time, and my business has grown so much. So if you ever have a chance, you should really join a We Mentor program. If you get invited to go to the next level, it's just totally amazing.
Yeah, and I will just add there that again, there are so many opportunities to do, like again, the Great Lakes Women's Business Council is coming up, at the towards the end of September, and there's a pitch contest, and I'm fortunate enough to be a judge on that on that pitch contest, and I am just so excited because, and I know it's going to be a very hard job because they're all going to be fantastic and amazing. But I will say that again, getting involved in any opportunity that you can to participate, to to volunteer. I mean, because a lot of people say, well, how can I get engaged? Well, volunteering is a great way to do that. And but even if you just participate, like Tiffany is saying, when there is an opportunity, when there's something that's announced, don't be afraid to go for it. I've been involved in, Robert Half did a big seminar on building relationships, and it was in San Diego, and I went out to that. I applied, by just doing a essay for it, and got to go out to that. Again, amazing. I've been involved in CVS did a big with a university in Rhode Island, and I was fortunate enough to be involved in that program. But all of these things take time and commitment to do, but by doing them, there's incredible rewards, and you get to meet these other WBEs, and you just don't know where those relationships can take you. So with that being said, I would love to turn this over to you, Sherry, to talk about some great success stories that you're very familiar with.
Well, thank you. There's a lot of success stories. Before we do that, I just want you to see on the screen here that this is a different website than the Great Lakes website. This is the National We Bank Council. And you see what the drop-down menu shows are all those opportunities that are available to you. They do cost money that are available through We Bank National. You'll also see there's a scholarship that you can apply for there. So sometimes it means you need to be a little more established. You'll just have to look into each of them, but always try. You don't know unless you try. And once you get your name there, there's people on the other side there reading those names. If they see your name often, they're going to see that you're engaged. So that's just something I wanted to add there. Wow. We're going to start with Hayes Johnson today. I have some success to share about her. Hayes was one of our WBEs who let her certification lapse because she just didn't feel she was getting out of it what she had wanted and what she thought she should. And I don't know the story behind her actually recertifying again. I just know that she had reached a place and that wasn't very comfortable for her in her own success. So she joined back up. She got a lot of help and support from us. And she almost lost her business actually in early 2020, as many did, unfortunately. So with this new attitude, she reached back out. She learned, she participated, she listened. Somebody told her to start a Facebook Live, and she did. And then things just, one thing led to another. It wasn't one thing. It just one thing added up to another one. And all of these relationships she had built. And this relationship is related to this relationship who says, hey, I know somebody, and comes back. And so today, she answered a call talking about getting on portals. She got on the Walmart portal and she answered a call because that's how you get invited to some of these events. You're on their portal. So she answered the call. She owns the company La Hose Hair and Wigs. She answered the call and they loved it, and put some of her products that takes care of wigs on the shelves. And you don't hear too much about products that take care of wigs. And so that was a differentiator for her. So they put them in 400 stores nationwide. Today, she closed her Royal Oak store. She sold it actually to someone else as another business. And she's opening a flagship store, just opened it, in Walmart in Las Vegas. It's now a part of those kinds of stores that are going to have La Host hair and wigs. She participated in We Pitch. She gave back to her community. She was involved. She spoke for us when we needed a speaker at some of our forums or some of our other opportunities that we had there. She was the Great Pitch Competition Grand Prize winner of 2020. So positive things happened for her because she started to give up and then she didn't. Can you all hear me?
Mhm.
Okay, because I feel like I might have just gone out. So, all right. So what I don't want to do is lose this opportunity to talk to you about Tiffany Klingensmith, because she is the poster child for becoming engaged, for listening. Listening. If you're talking, you can't hear. And when the mentors are talking, you need to hear what they're saying. And it reminds me of people that write. The editor says, well, you need to change this. And they're like, I am not changing that. I am tied and married to that. That is not Tiffany. She was told, and it didn't feel good. She had actually, through this mentor, I believe it was Tiffany, you can correct me. I am going to ask you to speak and share in a moment. She got to an event that she was invited to attend, the National WeBank Conference. She got some feedback that it kind of hurt a little bit. Instead of locking up in a corner and crying about it, she managed the emotions and she listened to the nuggets and she went back over that. Our Tiffany is, she's so engaged and involved. She's always there to help other WBEs. She does her homework. She had asked for an introduction to a supplier diversity representative that invited her to the event to learn more about doing business with that corporation. And she shared that she was able to gain a contract with that corporation later. When she was asked to service another corporate that needed her to have an office in another state, what did she do? Oh, I'll build an office in that state. How long would it take? She says 1 to 2 months. Just think about that. So Tiffany, what do you have to add? And please share, because I want you to share your experience and what it means to become involved and to leverage that certification.
Yes, I was at Nationals and one of my mentors introduced me to the Coca-Cola lady, and she was just to the point. She goes, okay, you got 2 minutes, give it to me now. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to pitch in 2 minutes and come up with something. And then after I did my little pitch, she's like, is that all you got? What's your differentiator? And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to say? So I had to like come up with the differentiator right on the spot. And she goes, this is what it's all about. If you're coming to nationals, you have to have it together. And I learned so much from that day. And it's made me so much better. It's made my business grow so much more because I know that I keep the world glued together, one client at a time. I have 8 words. Sherry's coached me many times about pitching. It's just been amazing. And just that one little thing can totally, take you from here to here, so it's totally amazing. And yes, I was at another national meeting. So if you ever have a chance to go to nationals, I always suggest starting out, with our September 27th and 28th Great Lakes Council, because even there, Denise said, you start and in 2 hours, you can do the whole context that you can do in a whole year. They're all right there. Have your capability statements ready. Make sure you follow up when they tell you to. And certain buyers will tell you to to follow up like in 2 weeks, 1 week. You got to take great notes and know what you're doing and follow up, because they might be busy, they might be on vacation, they might need a break. So you have to honor their time also.
Mhm.
And one buyer said, well, I need you to set up someplace, down by Kentucky, Ohio. That's where we are. Okay. And Sherry was so right. I can do that in 2 months. And man, I hired a staff, 2 people, set up a warehouse, got a warehouse space, and brought my product in. And to this day, right now, they do $2 million with us right now. So it was totally amazing to do that. So many, many stories. And what I like to do is give back to other WBEs, help them. They ask me questions, give back. And that's what we all do here. We create this little community and we help others.
Thank you, Tiffany. And I want to add that relationships take time. Things don't happen overnight. And your company might be just starting out or might be much smaller. The same things can be happening for you, just on a different scale. So don't say, oh, well, she's up. No, she was not when she first started. So everybody starts at the same place unless they inherited a family-owned company. So thank you for offering that up, Tiffany, and what you have to say is valuable and appreciated. And by the way, I want to add something about capability statement. Remember, we're into the listening and waiting and hearing what the corporate says or the WBE says that we want to do business with as a buyer. You don't walk around and go, here's my capability statement. No, you have to make a connection first with the person that you're speaking with. Oh, I saw that in the news, you guys are working on this. Or, I met you at this other conference, or it's so good to see you today. I heard that your daughter just got married. Whatever it is, make a connection first. And if the conversation flows that way, then that's when it's appropriate to share. Denise.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Did you want to share about participating in the RPO?
Yes, absolutely. And, a lot of the things that we've talked about really already hit on step 6, which is, really participating in your regional partner organization, which again, we're very fortunate that we belong to the Great Lakes Women's Business Council. So it's a very dynamic, very on the move partnering organization with a lot of opportunity. Every person that you'll meet, there from Sherry to, again, Michelle Richards, who is the CEO, they are engaged. They love what they do. They believe in the mission. And the more that you can get involved, and a lot of the things are at no cost. That some of the things have a price associated with them. But there's always, I shouldn't say always, but there's the opportunity to get scholarships to get, and again, because of the organization that we belong to, and as Tiffany very eloquently put it, there's a lot of giving back. So there's a lot of corporate or a lot of WBEs that will other WBEs to go that maybe can't afford to be there. But again, think in terms of the biggest investment that you need to make is of your time, right? If you make that investment, and we all have been there, where you are doing the sales calls, you are, producing the product or doing the service, you're invoicing the service, you're collecting the money. I mean, you might be it, and you're very, very busy. But if you can prioritize that, getting involved in, the Great Lakes Women's Business Council is a priority, and put that into your schedule, it will pay off. There's level workshops, there's the We Match, one-on-one sessions. This business give you the opportunity to, if you look at the website, it will tell you the educational opportunities that are there, that you can sit in and learn things that, again, they're focused on what it is that us as business owners need to know. So they're going to be valuable for you to experience from the educational standpoint. And then comes the opportunity to do the networking, to do that marketing, that there is no better place for you to do it than to come to these conferences. So there's also the webinars like this one. There's tons of recordings that you can get. There's there's so many different things that the women's, the Great Lakes Women's Business Council offers. So one of the things that I will say is that, again, getting involved, take the time to even if it's out of your comfort zone, to ask questions, to be present when you're at these events. And there's whole webinars and workshops on how to make the most of these matchmaking events and how to walk through these different things. So anything that you need to know or that you're struggling with as a business owner, will be addressed in one place or another. And I'm a firm believer that if you are present, you're going to get what you need. So Sherry, if you want to go, move on from here, I want to leave time for really, talking about the specific events, that you might want to talk about if there's any that I didn't mention, and then also time for us to add, let the people that took time out this morning to ask questions, because again, we've done a lot of talking and now we'd love to hear, from you.
So we're going to move quickly through this, but I do want to say semifinalists of the We Pitch competition, you'll want to come and hear that on September 27th, and you will need to be registered for the conference to do that. So by the way, I can see at least 2 of them who are new WBEs like you.
Wow.
All right, so some of the things that we have for you is, and I'm just using what we called it in 2022, is the Exec We. That is a half-day session. We have a keynote speaker. It's usually in March. Last time we had a Trailblazer Exchange panel of WBEs that are experienced. It's designed for executives and your team. If you have a team, we get a lot of networking in the breakout sessions, and we use a platform virtually that allows that. I'm going to guess we might go, I'm not sure if we're going to go in person or stay virtual for this coming March, but I'll put March 2023 on your calendar for Exec We. And again, we have a forum that Tiffany is on the team that helps to craft the programming for those forums. They meet quarterly, and we have been doing them virtually since 2020. So there's usually 4 regions, 2 in Indiana, 2 in Michigan, and we do those in person. And each one of those does 1 a quarter. So that's 16 total that you could actually attend in person if we were doing it like we did before when we went virtually. So guess what? Michigan and Indiana come together. So you have opportunities that you may not have had with that other state, because we Marketing 101 use the chat to introduce your company. You can do that right now if you want, right here. Introduce your company and your name and what you do in the chat, and that's what we do in the WBE forums. We have keynote speakers, panelists. We talk about issues that you care about. Our next one comes up November 1st, and you will be getting the registration link to that when it is open, which will be very soon in the next month or so. We Succeed is, if you ever went to We Succeed before out in, it was called Symposium in Indiana before that, and now we call it We Succeed. And we held that in June, and most likely it'll be June again. And that was our actual first person event that we have done since the pandemic began. And that was really successful. It went 9 till 4, and keynote speaker she was outstanding. And we have an awards luncheon, workshops, mentor we tables where you got to network and talk to folks, and led by some of those mentors. Opportunities for meet and greet with others, and that, like I said, back to those relationships and corporate communications, which is something that they're like roundtables as well. So let me go past that. I want to see where we're at. Okay, Denise, did you want to talk about doing your homework?
Sure. Yep, I do, because it's super important. And, again, when it comes to doing your research, it can't, it's one of the worst things that you can do is just walk up to somebody, a professional, and say, hey, my name's Denise Booms Pepin, and what is it that you guys do over there at Lear? I mean, they really, do not, like, you think, well, I'm just trying to get them to talk and whatnot, but they really want you to be engaged and want you to be prepared, right? So when we say do your homework, what do we mean? Check and see, does a company have a full-time diversity professional? Do they have a supplier diversity program? Is there a process that you need to follow? I mean, do some research on what the company is doing. Sherry mentioned, if you know that they have recently done a big press release because they're working on autonomous vehicles, or they're really conscientious about the environment, so there's different things that you can do to find this information out. One of the things that's very, very helpful if you are going after publicly traded companies is their K1 annual report that's available to anybody. And that will give you so much information about what their goals are, what their spends are in all of these different categories. So you can do a bunch of research ahead of time so that when you are presenting to somebody or talking to somebody, you are informed, and they really appreciate that. Look at what their mission statement is. What do they purchase? You want to really be intentional about who you're going after, because there's so many opportunities. And if you go in too many different directions, you're not going to focus and really, be able to do your best job. Right. So you want to be intentional about who you're going to talk to and get that homework done. Do they hold any supplier diversity events that you could get on their mailing list? That's part of, again, doing your homework. Those things all make a huge difference. When you're, completing your profile in the portals, one of the things that you want to do is be very specific about what you do. When you're filling in what your company does, don't say we're the very best at customer relationships and we're great at, we're prompt, we're on time, because that's not going to, there's and you've just talked about, again, how you're on time, that doesn't, they're not going to find you that way. Right. So when you're doing your homework, be, again, very specific and intentional, and don't, try not to think like a salesperson at that point where you're, really using a lot of flowery words. What you want to just be very, to the point and constructive on how you're describing your company. Sherry, anything else you want to add there?
Oh, no, thank you though.
Okay.
No, just do your homework.
Yep. And also like updating your profile. That's a very good point here, is that, like Tiffany mentioned, her company has grown. She's got different product lines. So remember that you need to go in and update your profile, because certain things are going to change. You may not have offered tree trimming service along with your other landscaping, but that's now a new service. So make sure that gets updated. Also, a lot of the portals will have you re-upload your certificate every single year, right? So when you're doing that, our best practice is that we go in and we make sure that everything is still accurate. They've got the right contacts, the right information, and that if we've got any new products or services, that they're updated in those portals. All right, I think that's it, Sherry.
We need to also remember that when we are updating, that we make sure that our search words are the right words. Number one, make sure there's enough. But number two, don't say we're number one in sales for 2018, because they're not going to search by that. What they're searching for is hard surface restoration, widgets, or whatever it is that you do, consulting. Those are the words that you need to use in your profile. So that is really important. And
very well said.
Oh, and don't use flowery words. And I feel like I missed something. Okay. So
I think we covered that. Yep. So in terms of growth tips, again, I think that right now we're really in kind of a reiteration mode here, where we're repeating ourselves a little bit, but it can't be overstated to participate. right? If you're participating, you actually have an opportunity to take advantage of, again, that certification and all of the wisdom and really, you know, all of that camaraderie. So tons of benefit by participating. You know, the Great Lakes Annual Conference, you know, there's the awards dinner, there's corporate matchmaking events, there's, you know, the forums, all of the different things that we've taken or talked about, taking advantage of the training. I cannot tell you how beneficial it is. I mentioned some of the national training programs that I participated in that really were pivotal in making my business grow and succeed. Tiffany mentioned, you know, the Mentor We program for construction that she participated in. Take advantage of these trainings that are available. And you'll be very happy that you did. It's an investment in yourself. It's an investment in your business. So don't think that because it takes your time that oh, I got to be over here doing this other thing. Who's going to pay the bills if you know, these are things that will help you grow. So it's very important. Subscribing to the newsletters, valuable information there. So be sure to do that. Be a sponsor when you're at a point where you can, and even if it's not from a money standpoint that you're able to sponsor, be a volunteer where you can get involved that way. So yeah, that's all I've got for that.
I do want to mention, we do try to stay on time and a hard stop. And so we understand if you have to leave, but we will be opening the floor for questions. We will be going a little over today. So if you can do that, we'd really like to have you there. I did mention earlier, excuse me, that you can get the WOSB Women-Owned Small Business for the federal government at no additional charge by going back to our certification team and saying that you want to apply for that. You do need it if you want to do business with the government. You can then register on their portal called SAM. And again, there's many opportunities, including consulting services and food services and things that you may not think of. So it's not just manufacturing and things like that. We are a third-party certified provider to help you with that. Now, at Great Lakes Women's Business Council, which is different again than WeBank, we have seed lending to help you with smaller loans, and they actually go quite large. It's all a perspective on what you think is small, but in that world, we can help you with that. That's how we were actually created. Michelle saw that women were not able to get funding, and she has created that for women and minorities and who might need funding. The Michigan Women's Marketplace is the portal of the Women's Business Center, an SBA Women's Business Center that is one of 147 in the United States. We are the Women's Business Center of Excellence. We've got that award. And our program manager, Shantae Dixon, was the Martha Bailey and still holds that title, the Martha Bailey Award winner, the top program manager in the United States for SBA Women's Business Centers. She'll be crowning someone else in September. And on the marketplace, you can get the free webinars. If you're a subject matter expert, hey, I need you to help present. So let me know, and that's a way to get visibility. And in Indiana, there's a few more certifications you can get there also at no cost to you. So just let us know about that if you're interested. And here's how to stay connected to Denise. And then how to stay connected to me. And what I'm going to do now is stop sharing. And I guess we're going to try and open the mics if anybody's interested in, let me get this out of the way here. We're actually doing pretty well on time, except now we're opening for questions. If I can't see most of you, if you want to ask a question, we can open the lines for you to do that. Oh, Leanne, give me just a moment here. Oh, you're open. Come on in, Leanne.
Morning. Can you hear me?
We can.
We can.
Great. Do I see like 4 of us still on here? Is that what I see?
There's
go ahead.
4 with our cameras on, but there's a total of 7 on the
Okay.
webinar right now. Yeah.
All right. I first of all am coming to all of you because Tiffany, I appreciated your story. I personally text you. I just recently was certified with WeBank May 9th. And so I'm very new to this, but not new to business. I'm 55. I've had a business since 17. And I have found that WeBank is what you said a little while ago, Sherry, or maybe Denise said it, where, we do worry about paying the bills and what we got to do, but to take this kind of time out for us is so important. And so on a personal note, I shared a little bit with Sherry how after all 37 years of business, I'm going through a very, very large lawsuit for the first time in my business. And so this whole world is really new for me. And I'm just going to share on a personal note, that's been very draining, very hard. And so I came this morning with needing this powerful women to share their stories, because that is what I am, just not today.
Mhm.
And so if I can just say thank you, because this was my little retreat. And so I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Leanne, you are stronger than you think you are. And I think you're on Michigan Women's Marketplace. I put out in the newsletter some of this very thing that that you're thanking Denise and Tiffany for. So we're glad you're here. And just keep in mind that you are strong and that you have this network of women to help you in your business. Even if we can't help you with all of those kinds of things, we can certainly help to support you in that. And so thanks for taking the time to come out today.
Yeah, I'm looking very, very forward to next month. I'll be there and I can't wait to go.
Oh, great.
Excellent.
See everybody
Excellent. Well,
again.
You're going to have a great time.
Thank you.
It's going to be wonderful. Yeah.
And I'll be there. You'll be able to see me. I'll have this wild look. No, I'll be near the pitch and the WBE Forum luncheon.
Yes.
So will Denise and Tiffany. You'll see us.
Oh.
And so we'd like to bump elbows with you at that. And meet all of you out at the first evening there on the patio for our networking event. So that'll be fun, relaxing. That is a great place to start building those relationships. So as Denise had said, don't see it as time away from your business. See it as time towards your business, and the dollars that you have to come up with as an investment in your business. Those relationships and visibility are so, so, so important. And it may not happen that week or even that year, but down the road, because corporate timelines are different than if we have small businesses, corporate timelines are different than our timelines. And it's just the way things are done. And so you just have to have patience and keep doing the right things and showing up. Isn't that half the battle?
I hate to equate it again to fishing, but it's the same thing. Like when I go fishing and my husband is like, like you got to keep, and I'm like, I'm putting my pole down now, I'm going to go read. But if I don't keep the pole in the water, if I don't keep doing, I'm not going to catch the fish. Right. So again, just that patience. I know that we are over. Is there any other questions that we can answer? I only have a couple more minutes, but I would love to answer any other questions. And just again, a heartfelt, Leanne, believe me, I think we've all had those tough moments, and you're not alone. And as Sherry put it, you are strong. You are an awesome woman, I'm sure, because anybody that's in business for 37 years is doing most everything right. And so this is just a moment in time that will pass.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Denise. I don't see any other questions at this time. Thank you all for attending today. I hope you found it valuable. If you have other questions, you can email me at scummins@greatlakeswbc.org. Another way to find our staff is to go to greatlakeswbc.org website under About and Staff, and all of our email addresses there. We're all in there. Our staff is growing, so that's promising for everyone, because that means that we have more people to help, which means more people are in business. I want to give a special thank you to Denise, who does a remarkable job of providing you from her own experience. This Toolkit training has really made it a brighter and more valuable training. And Tiffany, wow, it's so great to have a special guest today, someone that can speak also to our WBEs who's been there. It's nice to have both of you with those experiences to help our WBEs. And if there's nothing else, I wish you all the best afternoon today, and to be positive. And again, remember that we are here. Get engaged, get involved. If you don't know the next step, let me know. If you have a question for either Denise or Tiffany, you don't know how to connect with them, connect with me and I'll connect you. So, all right.
Have the best day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
you.
Goodbye, everyone.